Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Guitar Talk with Todd here at Todd Beebe Music. Thank you so much for checking in. Today we have another episode of the TV Tray Sessions. Please, please, please hit that subscribe button in the lower right hand corner. I appreciate it so much, and I appreciate you guys being with me and for your support, so thank you. Today on the TV Tray Sessions, I want to talk to all guitar players out there about humidifying your instruments, especially acoustic guitars. It's mid-October 2022 here in Chicago, Illinois, where I'm at in the Midwest, and you can feel that nice crisp fall weather moving in, and as you turn your furnace on and all that, it's going to suck that humidity out of the house, and it can create real problems for acoustic guitars. We are drinking Death Wish coffee today, so drink up. We love Death Wish. Valhalla, Java, Death Wish, we salute you, and coffee drinkers everywhere. Okay, when I was a kid, I didn't think much about humidifying. You know, you just play your guitar and you don't really think much about it. But as I got, more and more into it, you start to get better instruments and that. You start buying, especially, like I said, acoustic guitars. You'd always hear the guy at the store say, oh, I can get you a humidifier with it. Or, you go in the acoustic room and it's separate and they have like a humidifier. Hopefully they do in there. Years back, I bought, or did not buy rather, went to buy a high-end guitar, a Martin D28 from a very well-known big chain guitar company. I'm not going to mention any names, but let's just say they're one of the biggest out there. And there was a crack right in the body of the guitar because they had no humidifier going in the room. And unbelievable. And I pointed that out to them, and they basically said they would take off $100, which it's like, wow, okay. And I came back a couple weeks later and it was still hanging there in the room. So that kind of set the mood for that place for me. But anyways, that's for another episode. So getting back to humidifying, acoustic guitars, big time. They are number one. They have a top, usually, spruce that vibrates, and that's all part of the sound. And in order for it to vibrate and sound as good as it does, it's very, very, very thin. Well, that thin wood is susceptible to cracking when the humidity is all sucked out of the air. Solid body electric guitars, like say a Les Paul or a Gibson SG, you don't really have to worry about that as much. Checking on the finish and stuff like that will kind of happen. Some people like that to happen, but actual cracks in the wood don't usually happen on a solid body unless it's real extreme. Some hollow body guitars like an ES335 or, semi-hollow bodies or hollow body, Gretsch and models like that, you have to worry about. Not as much as a full-on acoustic, because again, the top's not quite as thin. But if you can, it's safe to put them in a room that's just completely humidified during the winter. So that's what I kind of want to get at here. What I do and what I tell everyone to do if you've got the means to do it or whatever is keep your guitar or guitars, however many you have, in one room, especially in the winter time when the furnace is running. That's when you really want to do it. And just put a in-room humidifier in there. And the average humidity you want to go for is between 45 and 55%. So get yourself a hygrometer like this one. I'm going to do a close-up here of this. This is Therm Pro. And I think this thing was like $10. They're not very expensive. So I usually put, a few of them around the house. And it's kind of cool because it tells you the temperature on the top and the relative, the humidity on the bottom. So you always kind of want to keep it between 45 and 55. So let me get a close-up of this and show you guys. You can see right now, it's like I said, it's October here in Chicago. So we're at 63 degrees and we got 50% humidity going on. And like I said, this is from ThermPro. I love this brand. Real easy, just battery, pop in and out, lasts forever. Really good. It's got a little kickstand so you can put it wherever you need to. But we're at now, we just went up to 51. So we're good. If you're between like 45 and 55, you're good. But again, it's starting to get down in the summer. It was up in the 60s when I'd look at this thing. So you don't want to over humidify either. So if you start to see the hygrometer get above like 55% and all that, get your humidifiers out of your guitars or turn the humidifier off in the room. The poor man's method of that years ago, and what I still kind of tell people, is that even if you don't have a hygrometer, if you're running the furnace, you should be using a humidifier with your guitars. The minute you're done running the furnace, you're kind of done running your humidifiers. I remember one of my students a few years back was like, oh, I just leave it in there all year, then I don't have to worry about it. And it's like, oh no, don't do that. Like in the middle of July or something when it's blazing hot out, you do not want to run the humidifier or place a humidifier in the guitar, because you can over humidify, and then you know, the wood glue joints and all that can start loosening up, and that can wreak havoc on the guitar too in the other direction. So you got to kind of watch it. You always want to keep that humidity between 45 and 55%. That being said, like I said, my number one thing I tell people is just put a humidifier in the room and keep an eye on it and keep your guitars in that room. But if you want to use an in-case humidifier, Planet Waves, Daddario makes some fantastic ones. I know they have the plastic one that you pull the strings apart and it sits in there, and it's got the sponge that you pull out, or the humidipacks that go in and that type of thing too. Years back, there was like the green Damp It, the green snake that everybody used. I believe they still make Damp It. That was like the original one. You know, all those are good. The problem with those is you have to fill them up so often. That was always my thing with Damp It. You had to just always keep an eye on it, and then it was like in the guitar. You know, I was thinking like, this feels weird. I'm putting water in my guitar with this object, and I never had any problems with them. You got to wring them out real well, of course, but so I would recommend, as far as in-case humidifiers, my favorite is Oasis Humidifier. Let me get a close-up of this here. And it's a really cool invention here. And it basically comes with crystals that go in. The cap comes off. You put the water in. Always use distilled water, too, on any humidifier, because you don't want to put just right out of the tap, because then the minerals can disperse through the air, and that's a whole other thing. You can create, you know, problems in your guitar that way. So use pure water, distilled water, and then you put the cap back on, and with this, the crystals turn into like a gel inside with the water, and then it disperses the, you know, enough to keep your guitar humidified, but yet it's gel, so it can't leak out of the guitar. So I really recommend Oasis humidifiers. Like any humidifier, keep an eye on them. They do wear out. Again, I've never had a problem with one of them, but you can kind of see on the fabric when it's starting to leak and the rubber, like the interior, goes a little bad. Takes several years. You can get quite a bit of use out of these things. But again, just be smart about it. What I usually tell people to do is fill it up, put the cap on. I used to just set it on top of my guitar case and just, you know, walk away for even 10 minutes. Or something, nothing's going to happen to your guitar in 10 minutes. And then, you know, come back and you could see like a spot or whatever if it's starting to leak. And then, you know, oh, it's time to get a new one. If you don't see it, go ahead to split the strings apart, set this right in there, and it, you know, sits right in there just like the Planet Waves ones do. But always remember that, use distilled water. That's a big one. You don't want to just use tap water because it's got the minerals and everything in it. You don't want that coming out inside of your guitar. You want to use this absolutely clean water, which is distilled water. So pick up a jug of it at the store. It's like $1, $2, whatever. It's well worth it. Even if you have to buy a few of them throughout the winter, it's well worth it to, you know, for your investment, keeping your guitar safe. But like I said, I've never been big on, all these are in case humidifiers. A lot of my students will say, like, yeah, but what do you do when you get it to the gig and take it out? And even if you're running an in-room humidifier, now you've left your house, you've got the guitar out in the cold. Well, outside in the cold, it's not that bad. Again, it's not really the cold that's doing the damage to your, as far as humidity goes, to your guitar. It's the furnace. The furnace kicking on is like what's sucking all the humidity out of the air. So when you're going to the gig, you're fine, you know, and then you're playing, you're fine. And it doesn't dry out that fast within, like, you know, an hour or two. Usually, you know, cases where you've seen guitars cracked and they're really bad, and I've seen a lot of them, it's usually because they've been in an unhumidified area, room, whatever, for quite some time, and nobody's doing anything about it, and the wood dries out over a period of time and it starts to crack. But taking it out to the gig, you're fine. You know, don't worry about that. Just, you know, play the gig, get home, get it back in the room where the humidifier's at, and it'll be good to go. Or, you know, when you're leaving the gig, pop the in-case humidifier in, just keep it right in the case, obviously, and then you're good to go that way, too. So it's not the cold that's doing the damage, it's the furnace that's doing the damage when it comes on, taking the humidity out of the air. But like I said, my way I've gone the last several years now has been to just keep them all in a room where I run a humidifier, and I just keep the door shut. You know, don't leave the door open unless your whole house has humidifiers going, which is something to think of too. It's even just good for breathing, skin, everything in the winter, so everything, you're not drying out your hands, whatever. And just keep, you know, hygrometers in every room and kind of keep an eye on that. The age-old theory with guitars is they're comfortable where you're comfortable. So, like, if you're thinking it's too hot outside, or you don't want to get in the trunk of a car, you don't want to put your guitar in the trunk of a car, you don't want to leave your guitar out in the back seat of the car at 30 below in the middle of winter all night, because you wouldn't want to be there. You wouldn't want to sleep right on top of a heater blowing, you know, so don't put your guitar there. So the general rule is, when you feel comfortable, your guitar is comfortable. So if your skin's cracking and drying out and all that, you're probably having, you know, a bad environment for your guitar as well. So, like I said, if you're humidifying your entire house, you don't really have to worry about it. If you're only doing the guitar room, keep the door shut and let it just stay like a sauna in there in the wintertime, and keep those babies, you know, humidified. I've seen some bad ones. I've seen, you know, going back to the cold for a minute, I had a friend years ago that had a guitar flown in, and it was up in the air in an airplane for hours, which of course it's way cold up there, and this is in the middle of winter too. Plane came down pretty much instantly. When the guitar came in off the plane, the guy had it, took it to somebody's house, like a icicle, this whole thing, and they just opened it right up to look at it, and they said literally as they opened the case, the warm air inside hit the top on, it was a Martin, and they just saw it like crack right up the, so that is something from the cold really there versus like humidity. But yeah, I have seen that the humidity stuff usually happens over time, and it's from keeping it in a place where it's just not humidified for a while. So like I said, when you go out to the gig or whatever, don't worry about it, but just make sure when it stays all week or whatever, all night, wherever you happen to be. Obviously, if you're out on the road, you can't do that. You need the in-case humidifier, so that's why Oasis or the Planet Waves, Daddario stuff is fantastic. Like I said, my hands down favorite is still Oasis. I love them. And there are people I've heard say, oh, they wear out and it leaked in my guitar. Again, just be smart about it. Check on it. When you fill it up, don't just put the cap on and shut the case and put the cap on, let it sit for 10 minutes or so, come back and look at it. If you see a stain on the fabric, then you know it's not holding the water in, so get rid of it, order a new one. You know, just kind of keep an eye on them, but because if you're using them right, Oasis are fantastic. I like the way the liquid turns into a gel because of the crystals they give you, and so it's kind of double proof with the wall inside that it's not going to leak, and the gel is not going to leak out because it's not really a full-on liquid anymore. It's a gel. So check them out. I'm going to put their links below. I'll put Planet Waves 2, but definitely check out Oasis Humidifier. They are my hands-down winner for the in-case humidifier. And to humidify those guitars, you guys invest in a hygrometer. They're real cheap. You don't have to get a fancy schmancy one unless you want to, but just get something that's got numbers. Even if it doesn't tell you the temperature, that's not really a big deal, but I like that because it's nice. This tells me right now it's 63 degrees in here, and we got 47% humidity. Just went up to 48. So we're getting down close to 45, though. Like I said, it's mid-October here right now, so pretty soon I've got to crank the humidifier on here and get it going, and that usually runs till about, you know, March or April, whenever you turn your furnace off. And remember the poor man's philosophy. If you don't have any of that, if you turn your furnace on, turn the humidifier on, the minute you're done using the furnace for the year, you're done using your humidifiers for the year, in case or in room. Alright guys, one more thing I want to talk about. If you're running your hand up and down the neck of your guitar and you can feel the edges of the frets on the ends of the fingerboard as you're moving like that, if you can feel those popping out, that's always a telltale sign too that you've got low humidity going on and the wood is shrinking and the frets are sticking out, and that's why you can feel the ends of them. Definitely a sign that your guitar is screaming, hey, I need to be humidified. So definitely watch out for stuff like that. So I think that's about it. Enjoy coffee. We salute Death Wish here at Todd Beebe Music Guitar Talk on the TV tray sessions. We love our coffee. Valhalla Java from Death Wish. We salute them. I'm going to put their link below too. But please comment, you guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've had any bad experiences. I hope you haven't with guitars. You know somebody that has. Let me know if you're looking for trying out a new humidifier. Try Oasis or maybe one of the Planet Waves. Maybe you already use those. Comment below. Let me know what you think of them. Or if you have a nice in-room humidifier. I use the Honeywell model. I'll have to look up and see what it is, and I'll try to put the link below to that too. But a nice, you know, in-room humidifier is always great too. But with any of those things, always use distilled water. That's the biggest thing, is just distilled water in any form of humidifier. You don't want to just be filling it up out of the tap. That's not the way to go. So please comment. Thank you so much, you guys, for checking in. Please hit that subscribe button in the lower right hand corner. You know I appreciate it. Find me on Facebook at Todd Beebe Music. And like I said, winter is moving in here in the fall, so stay warm, you guys, and get those humidifiers running. Keep those guitars safe. We appreciate you guys checking in with us. Stay safe and love your dogs, and we will see you guys again. Take care.